Welcome to Fort Worth 148's podcast, where we meet to discuss Masonic topics and strive to build value in the Brotherhood. The opinions and statements of the participants do not represent any positions or stance of any Grand Lodge or Lodge and are solely the viewpoints of the participants. Welcome back to the podcast, brothers. This is Rhit Moore, past master Fort Worth 148. And today I've got on the show with me.
I'm Everett Hinote, past master Sugarland Lodge, number 1141.
Sugarland. So let our listeners know where Sugarland be.
Sugarland is southwest of Houston. Just a quick little jaunt from downtown.
Now, I know you're super sweet, but how did Sugarland get its name?
Sugarland got its name from the Imperial Sugar Factory when it was in operation those many years ago. The company just was getting more and more people to live inside the company town, and they eventually founded Sugarland.
That's crazy. I drove into town and saw the big Imperial, emblem on the sugar bag. It's unmistakable. You grow up looking at it your whole life, and then you see it on the sign. It's like, I bet that's how they got the name Sugarland.
Yep, pretty much.
That's awesome. So just real quick, tell listeners a little bit about Everett, maybe, professionally, and then how Masonry got started and kind of a synopsis of your career.
All right. Well, my name, Everett Hinote. Yes, it is pronounced Hinote. Oddly enough, though, for a good deal of my life, I am still a musician, but I was actually a semi-professional musician as well, specifically on the tuba. Yeah, tuba. And I think people just thinking that I just want to be a contradiction to my name, but I played tuba for over 25 years, and
wow,
yeah, quite a commitment there.
Yeah.
And was doing that for a long while. Even got 2 degrees in music, undergrad and master's, and was gigging around the Houston area for several ensembles, and was teaching private lessons, and was the assistant director of the Houston Symphonic Band as well. But then the pandemic hit, and then was without work for a long while. Now I have found myself in a job working in oil and gas midstream with another past master of Sugarland Lodge.
Oh, wow. Well, that's quite the change. Musician to oil and gas.
So the funny thing is this other past master, Gavin Swinney, he and I came through Masonry together. We entered the door together. We petitioned, went through the degrees, and even went through the officer line together. So we've been doing this, side by side companionship for quite a while.
Yeah.
And we have actually met through his now wife. She and I went to university together, and she started dating him, and I met him one night, and I was kind of like the seal of approval for him. And we've been really good friends ever since, and now I'm working for him, and I'm his lackey at the job. He is my boss.
Yeah. That's cool. Do you maybe see yourself ever getting back into that music wise?
Yeah, probably. I do miss it, but just right now with the new job, I want to focus more on getting that under my belt to just do things a lot better there, and maybe get go up the ladder a few more rungs.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, you have to do something because artists in general were definitely overlooked during the pandemic. Whether it be musicians, whatever kind of artist it was, they were hit the hardest because they weren't even deemed essential.
Absolutely, so you're very correct on that.
You just kind of left to the wind. So Masonry, how long, and kind of step us through the high points there.
Was initiated on June 23rd of 2008, right the day before St. John's Day, and went through my fellow craft in February of 2009. Then March 9th, 2009 was raised to Master Mason. Then about 3 or 4 months afterward, joined the York Rite. And I kind of like let that sit for a while. Didn't really do much with it. Then it's come around 2011, 2012, started to go through the chairs and starting in the kitchen because, every good Mason probably starts in the kitchen. I actually did that for 3 years.
So you were good at it, I guess.
I don't know if I was good at it. It's just where they stuck me. Then I actually made the jump from senior steward to junior warden.
Yeah.
Did not sit in the deacon's chair.
Yeah.
And then after that became worshipful master in 2019 to 2020. And along with that, the first presiding officership that I had was the commander of Fort Bend, Commander number 74. So I went into that first, and then 6 months later got installed as master. So at that point in time, I was master and commander.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a commitment.
Yeah, it was a little difficult, but I enjoyed it. Then 2 or 3 years ago, I was the high priest of Richmond chapter, and then last year I was the thrice illustrious master of Richmond Council. I'm in several of the York Rite invitational bodies, the AMD and Night Masons, and coming up this fall, I have my petition filled out, and I'll be going through the Scottish Rite.
No rest for the weary, right?
Oh, I'm not even done yet.
Just getting warmed up, huh?
Last year, me, Gavin Swinney, and a few other brothers started Come and Take It Grotto down in Sugarland.
Oh yes.
Yeah. And I have I got elected as the secretary for that organization, and so I'm now quite busy with that as well, and just got a whole bunch of stuff going on Masonic wise.
I love the personality that grotto has taken on, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you spell how y'all spell Come and Take It?
KUMNTAKIT.
It looks so weird when it's on the fez for the grotto. It's like, I'm pretty sure that says Come and Take It. And then, of course, once one of y'all say it, it's game on.
It's like right there. Yep. We were looking for a name to call the grotto because in order for a grotto to be named, it has to be somewhat Persian in design. There's a lot of them out there that are Persian names, like Shinar Grotto in Houston is a Persian name. I'm not sure what it stands for, but there was several iterations before we settled on Come and Take It. And when Supreme Council said, yes, y'all can actually have that name. So yeah,
it's genius. That was a stroke of genius, because it seems like you guys have pride, that's built throughout history, and you guys are, 10 minutes old in the scheme of things. But at the festival board, when somebody said Come and Take It, half the room was hollering it. It was great. So the reason that it caught my attention, we were at the officer leadership training together, and you said you guys had gotten a couple of brothers together and had started doing Dungeons and Dragons together. And that, I thought, what a great idea for social hour. And I wanted to hear more about how that got started and kind of how that transpired.
Yeah. Myself personally, I would say back 2011, 2012, I had a group of friends that I'd hang out with regularly. And we actually got into playing Dungeons and Dragons. And it was my first taste of, tabletop gaming in that regard. Mm-hmm. Not like Monopoly or whatever, but getting involved in with stats and characters and worlds and dice and all this stuff. I found it interesting, and we would play, and that fizzled out after a while. And I was just kind of thinking, it'd be really cool to play D&D again. And for years up at the lodge, we'd have several brothers who'd be like, yeah, it'd be cool to like get a group going on like a Saturday or something. We just gather at the lodge, we play D&D or do something. Well, myself and the aforementioned Gavin Swinney
Mhm.
and past master Kevin Klingen, who is also district deputy grandmaster this year.
Right, Marshall. Yep.
Mm-hmm. We started talking, how cool it'd be to get a D&D group going. Well, Kevin actually brought it upon himself to start buying a whole bunch of D&D stuff, the Dungeon Master set, all this other stuff, and even a brand new gaming table.
Wow.
And this thing it's a work of beauty. It looks like a regular table when it's all put away, but you can lift up the top of the table and it has this valley on the inside where you can set maps and dice towers and all this sort of stuff to like have a really good Dungeons and Dragons session.
Yeah.
Well, we three decided one day to go down to my family's vacation house near Matagorda and like have a sort of a past masters weekend, sit back, relax, chill out, and just have some fun. Well, Kevin brought along his Dungeon Master stuff, and me and Gavin, I brought along all the stuff that I had previous, player's handbook, dice, all this sort of stuff. We started playing a I can't remember what the word's called. Started playing a session.
Yeah,
we thought it was like really, we thought it was really fun, and we're going to keep this going. Well, the word got out, and now it's ballooned to about 8 or 9 other Masons that we gather together every once in a while and we play. And we've played at the Houston Shrine, Arabia Shrine, and we've played at Right Worshipful Klingen's apartment where he's got that gaming table. And, we've actually developed really great characters for this campaign. There's the word. For this campaign that we're going through. And we're actually have more campaigns down the line. We're still working on the first one we started last year or whatever. It takes a while for these things to go through.
Yeah. No, that's greatness. So is it just you guys playing, or are y'all playing with other non-Masons as well, or just y'all's little group?
The majority is Master Masons that we know of from several lodges. We got Sugarland, we got Holland, Gray Lodge. Can't recall off the top of my head if we have another brother from another lodge or a Memorial Lodge. And we do have one non-Mason with us, but he is what I would describe as a D&D guru. He has got an awesome character that he's playing, and if it weren't for a few things, I think he would be a great Mason, but it's his choice not to join. But still, he's one of us in our little group.
Well, and I think because it is one of those games that you either know or you don't know, because you're familiar with it or not, and I grew up in the mid 80s when it blew up. And then the satanic panic came and nobody could play it. None of my friends could play it anymore.
Yeah.
But I've always thought that something like that is so, like it has a place in the Freemason world, because as silly as it may seem, it what we're doing in Lodge with rituals and things, it's kind of quasi, live action role playing in a sense, we even get costumes if we want to, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely agree.
Anytime that it's brought, because one of our past masters, Billy Hamilton, hosted the show, man, he's got, like vintage stuff. He's one of the guys that collects it and, it's like, doesn't have time to play it, but loves buying it kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it always interests me. And I've thought, man, what a great way to do, if you had teams around the state that kind of the campaign crescendoed into each other, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of potential for that. That's why it kind of piqued my interest.
That would be really interesting.
I'm telling, because Houston you're so populated that it's a lot easier to, get folks, that are interested in something like that. But I think with, we got enough big cities, you could have teams all around.
Yeah.
And I
I,
mean, it'd be cool to play in different buildings.
yeah. I don't think it would take much to get other brothers around the state interested to play. I know a ton of other brothers that do fantasy football.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really think about it, you're just trading one scenario for the other because you're both dealing with statistics, you're both dealing with characters, you're both dealing with scenarios you're put into. You're just trading football for fantasy.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of great brothers in the past that wrote fantasy novels and stuff like that. So it's not a far stretch to like kind of integrate this into masonry. Heck, even in some of our campaign stuff, we had a few Masonic like activities occur.
Yeah.
Like going to a meeting at some building on the edge of town or something like that.
Yeah. There's so many ways that you can incorporate that.
Yeah.
But, you got all types of folks that join Freemasonry, and there is a huge niche of members that are into that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
Whether because you'd mentioned tabletop and Dungeons and Dragons isn't the only one like this, but there's a big, it's massive. We'd actually looked into doing what's that game called on Smash Brothers? I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Oh yeah.
We almost were going to hold a tournament at the temple,
but I would have been up there.
Ended up we're still working on the Wi-Fi thing, because that's going to be we don't have that kind of connection there, but hopefully one day. But man, they're huge.
Yeah, absolutely they are. I'll be up there. Let me know.
Well, and I've got the idea from a brother of our lodge, but there was another one. It's been years now. It's pre-COVID where they did a gaming night at lodge that was really successful. I mean, it was their first go. So, your first anything isn't going to be hugely successful, but they had like 40 or 50 show up.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, man, that's how we have to start thinking out of the box because, while casino night is fun, I love to sit down and play cards or spin there's a lot more to do than just that.
Yeah.
We could get a little creative.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of creative, I'm a bit on the crafty side myself. I belong to several costuming organizations, and I make my own movie props from like Star Wars and Ghostbusters and stuff like that. And since we started doing the D&D thing again, I made a dice tower out of some spare plastic that I was building my R2D2 unit out of. And it looks like a castle turret, and on the sides is the logos of the orc. Right on one side you have the square and compass, on one side you'll have chapter, the other side will be council, and on the back is commandery.
Yeah,
I'll send you some photos of this thing. I think it looks pretty good. But that's another way that we can stretch our creativity and love for gaming is crafting stuff like this.
Yeah,
to like express our love of masonry and gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I mean, because I think about the bonds that you guys create, because you've already said it. An D&D game's not sit down in 3 hours, it's over. You're talking about there's a lot of hours that go into that gameplay, and a lot of laughs.
Oh yeah,
a lot of good times together, and to me that's so crucial. Because once you create those bonds and friendships, it's like, we got a degree to go to, and you're more likely to go help them out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's fantastic. So, how long have you guys been doing it now?
A little over a year, probably. We were playing pretty regularly last year until our right worshipful dungeon master started making his travels for his visits and all that other stuff he's doing this year.
Yeah, that will kill time for sure.
Yeah, but I think our next campaign will be coming up. Our next day we're going to play will be at the end of this month, so that'll be a good time to get back together and play some more.
How long do y'all usually last in a session?
Oh, we'll start at like noon or 1 on a Saturday or Sunday, and then go to like 6 in the evening. It's about 5-6 hours.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I know it can go on a lot longer than that, but time and commitment with other things.
Oh yeah, well, of course, the older you get, you know what I mean, the more you end up thinking you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
But spending times with the friends and brothers, it's so hard to, set that side of time and set that time aside. Get
Yeah.
that right.
No, I got you.
And that's such a great tool to do that. You know what I mean? Because it's there. I've always been amazed at the culture. Because Billy, he goes to the conferences or the cons, if you will, for these kind of games,
Oh yeah.
and knows some of the original here and there. And I've always loved seeing the pictures of him going. It looks like a great time, because there's just the massive for all these little niches. There's just such a massive culture for it now.
Yeah. Yeah, there is.
So
You,
go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was going to say, how would you how would we go about growing this?
Oh, invite people. Invite people to come watch. They don't have to participate the first time. They could just sit back and watch and see how it works, how it functions. That's kind of the one thing about our group is we're playing D&D 5th edition, which has a lot of rules about how to play turns and stuff like that, but largely we ignore those rules because we want to have fun while we're playing this game. So you can show people, yeah, this is how you fight a particular group of enemies that come across you, or you could just do this or do that, blow through them real easily, or you know uh, maybe they'll have a successful crit hit, with the d20, and they roll a d20 and you're just dead the first strike.
Yeah,
That actually happened in our last campaign. I was the first one up, and they DM rolled a natural 20, and I was dead for that round.
it's fantastic. There's so much fun to be had, just hanging with your brothers.
Oh yeah.
It's like I say, it's typically, if you're going to go hang out with everybody, it's going to be something, simple. And I love the idea of that, because you're right. There's a lot more to it than just rolling the die. There's stats, there's characters,
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do anything like extremely complicated either. I mean, you have to figure out your intelligence and your ability to sway people one way or another. There's a bunch of like calculations you can make to like determine if this actually works or not, but you don't have to get that extreme with it. Be like, I want to go up to the bar and get me this sort of drink. All right, roll me a d20. Do you actually get it, or you spill it on the bar, sort of deal.
yeah.
It's just like, I want to go purchase some chainmail armor, and so you do that, 50 gold, whatever. And you could tailor it to how easy or complicated you want to make it. I mean, if you really want to get into the math of it all, you can, but if you just want to go sit down and have fun, you can do that as well.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. I mean, I can remember how complicated it got, and I haven't played in years and years, but it was something my cousins and brothers, we'd get together, and it was on one way or another. And even when we would run out of the adventure books, it was like, all right, we're gonna have to make up our own, but we're playing. We got the dice. We can figure this out. But it was always a hoot, to get together and play those types of adventures.
Yeah.
So, you got any other burning advice before we wrap this bad boy up?
Well, there are many sources that you can draw inspiration from to create characters or scenarios. It doesn't have to be just out of the Dungeons and Dragons handbook. You know, if you want to go go it easy, yeah, go with the provided material. But there are groups that I know of that play what's called homebrew. They create their own worlds, they create their own towns, they create their own characters, enemies, stuff like that. I already have a few ideas uh, of a homebrew campaign that I might do sometime down the road, where it's loosely based on like the structure of a Blue Lodge and the Jedi Order. I know it's combining many worlds together. I have this uh, draft of a outline explaining what this society is and what it does for the world at large, and I'm kind of creating a um a story to go with that. And I also have some ideas for like a dragon that comes along and messes with the party and treats them as like not like playthings, but you know, something to like, hey, I'm here, you should go do this thing, or else I'm gonna burn your stuff down or something like that. uh and there's many resources that you can look into, other podcasts or even campaigns that you can watch on YouTube. You know, there's Invitation to Party that's set up by G4 this past year, and there's Critical Role. They've been doing that for many years, and they are so fun. It's a bunch of voice actors playing D&D. It's very, very funny. And they actually made a show on Amazon called Legend of Vox Machina, and that's, you know, a lot of stuff you can get inspiration from that. It's rated M for mature, so you know your mileage may vary if you want to watch it or not. But it is funny, and it does like give a good glimpse on how campaigns can be done. There's so much out there that you can draw inspiration from. You know, there's Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, a bunch of these fantasy writers you can look into to draw inspiration from. But if you're just starting out, stick with the material, make it your own. You know, follow what rules you want to follow.
No, I love it. What caught my attention the most about it all is that you guys just did something. You know what I mean? It was outside the box, and that always gets me. You know, it's like that would make a good podcast, because I've never heard of it happening before. Although I hear of all kinds of brothers that play, I've never heard of a group of brothers getting together and say, "Hey, let's do this together."
Yeah.
And I think it's just, I mean, it was right there in front of our noses, you know, because it's a great opportunity to, you know, bond with your local guys. And I love the idea of growing this into something, you know, that would be fun across the state. Because, man, I can see you locking up with a few other guys that are creative like you, and y'all creating some awesome campaign, you know, that's kind of tailored for a Mason. And, you know, like you said, in some certain roundabout way, it can be a blast, man. Kind of crescendo, get Grand Lodge weekend or something.
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine a bunch of us down in the basement at Grand Lodge playing D&D?
I do. I can. And I think it would build a lot of value for a lot of Masons. You know, if we're looking for one silver bullet to fix everything, that's not going to happen, you know. Because you might have the Masonic Fantasy Football League going on in the same, you know, just right across the hallway. Yeah. Whatever your bag is, man. The bottom line is you guys got up and did it. And that's the hardest part. It's just doing something together. Because once you do, you start having a freaking blast, because it's good men to sit down and have a good time with, you know, and it gets a little bit addictive, and you want to do it again and again.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so addicting. I can't even tell you, like I'm a dice hoarder. I go out and collect dice, and I find funny dice to get. Like I have a D20 sitting in front of me where the one is an expletive because when you roll it, that's what you shout.
It's the worst. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
I found a Kickstarter earlier this year that it's called the Auto Crit D20, where all sides of the dice are D20s, and I supported it, and I'm getting like 16 to 18 pieces of these dice, and they all just have 20s on it. So it's just funny. Yeah, I'm a hoarder of dice. I got so many of every kind.
Slip that out of your sleeve on one of your rolls so no notices.
I'm sure I'd get punished for that.
That'd be greatness, man. Yeah. Well, cool. I think I think it's been a sweet podcast, short and sweet. Hopefully, it motivates somebody to get their own team rocking and rolling. And if not, Dungeons and Dragons, something.
Yeah,
this is how we're gonna, build some value in our craft. Is getting creative like this and enjoying each other's company.
Yeah, definitely get the creative juices going, and actually, it could serve many ways for you to get more active in your presentation of yourself to the lodge. You're putting yourself out there. You're saying these dialogues or something like that. You're going for it. It could help you if you're actually up there in the officer chairs, making your way up to worship master. You'll be able to speak a little bit better, and not be as timid if that is one thing that you're if you're a timid person. You can help use this as a tool to get you more prepared to speak in front of a group of people.
Yeah, I think you're right, because we overlook a lot of that when it comes to the it improves, as the Fellowcraft chart says, you improve in social intercourse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I always thought that was a funny way to say you'll get better at talking to people, social intercourse. I guess masonry's got to be weird.
Well, based on old-timey speech, but it's true.
It is very true. Well, Everett, it's been a blast chatting with you.
You too.
I know we're going to run into each other again before Grand Lodge. That's too far off, but
yeah. No, I'll be around at a few things. But yeah. Cool. Yeah, it was a pleasure speaking with you again.
Awesome. Well, this is Rhit Moore signing off.
This is Everett Hinote signing off.